tengah-tengah dahulu. Sebab kalau nak masuk TV kena tengah-tengah lah. Terima kasih. Announcing the arrival of the chairperson of Majlis Professor University and the speaker of today's Syarahan Perdana 2023. Ladies and gentlemen, please rise. Lagu Bangsa Johor and Negaraku.
Luaskan kuasa, namkan kami
Ladies and gentlemen, to begin this event, we would like to invite Ustaz Muhammad Shahir bin Abdul Muttalib of Islamic Center UTHM to lead the recitation of dua. Please welcome.
عاقبة للمتقين ولا عدوان إلا على الظالمين والصلاة والسلام على أشرف الأنبياء والمرسلين وعلى آله وأصحابه أجمعين عبدا يوافي نعمه ويكافئ مزيده يا ربنا لك الحمد كما ينبغي لجلال وجهك وعظيم سلطانك اللهم يا الله يا رحمن يا رحيم. Pada pagi yang penuh barakah ini, kami menadah tangan bersyukur kepadamu ya Allah, Tuhan yang telah mengizinkan kami untuk kami berkumpul pada pagi ini untuk kami melaksanakan Majlis Syarahan Perdana Universiti Tun Hussein An Malaysia 2023. Ya Allah ya Karim, kami memohon kepadamu dan keizinanmu jua, apalah kiranya engkau jadikan majlis ini sebagai satu majlis yang mendatangkan manfaat yang besar bagi kami warga UTHM untuk kebaikan kami di dunia dan di akhirat. Engkau mudahkanlah segala urusan kami dari awal hingga akhir, sehingga ianya mendatangkan kejayaan buat kami. Hindarkanlah dan lindungilah kami dari kerugian dan penyesalan, baik di dunia maupun di akhirat. Ya Allah, bimbingilah kami sepanjang kami hidup di dunia ini untuk menuju ke jalan-Mu yang diradai. Sesungguhnya Engkau adalah Tuhan penentu segala pekerjaan makhluk, sama ada berjaya atau sebaliknya. Ya Rahman, Ya Rahim, Ya Badi'is samawati wal ard, Ya Zal Jalali wal Ikram. Rabbi syrah lana sudurana, wa yassir lana umurana, wahlul uqdatana yafqahu aqwalana. Rabbana zalamna anfusana, wa illam taghfir.
Thank you, Ustaz Muhammad Shahir bin Abdul Muttalib. Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh and a very good morning. The Honorable Professor Technologist Dr. Hajah Roziati binti Ibrahim, Chairperson of Majlis Professor University, Associate Professor Technologist Dr. Azizul Azhar bin Ramli, Dean, Faculty of Computer Science and Information Technology, UTHM, the Honorable Professor Dr. Rozaida binti Ghazali, Faculty of Science, Computer Science and Information Technology, UTHM, distinguished guests, members of Majlis Professor University, senior officers, academicians, ladies and gentlemen. Alhamdulillah, all praises and thanks to Allah as we are all able to gather here at Big Stage PTTA for the first series of Syarahan Perdana 2023 by one of the members of Majlis Professor University UTHM. Ladies and gentlemen, without a further delay, we would like to invite Associate Professor, Technologist Dr. Azizul Azhar bin Ramli, Dean, Faculty of Computer Science and Information Technology, to introduce and later will invite our honorable speaker for today, Professor Dr. Rozaida binti Ghazali, to give her lecture. Please welcome.
Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Thank you very much to the chairperson for this assembly today, whom I respect, Prof. Rozaida, our pengurusi Majlis Professor UTHM chapter, and our speaker today, Prof. Dr. Hajjah Rozaida, which is one of the professor in this our faculty, FSKTM. Then all the professors here, all deans, distinguished, my clique from FSKTM, professor, all senior lecturer here, and also there is some student here. Welcome to this event. I'm glad to be here to introduce our speaker today, which is for us from faculty is quite important speaker. Okay. So, Prof. Rozaida is a professor at the Faculty of Computer Science and Information Technology, University Tun Hussein on Malaysia, and one of the founding members of the faculty. She obtained her Bachelor of Science Honours in Computer Science from University Science Malaysia, USM, in 1997. She became interested in neural network related research after completing her Masters of Computer Science from University Technology Malaysia, UTHM, in 2003. In 2007, she obtained a PhD in Computer Science from Liverpool John Moss University, United Kingdom. Her doctoral research primarily focused on higher order neural network, wherein she made significant strides in machine learning, data mining, swarm intelligence, optimization, and time series prediction. Prof. Rozaida is currently a principal researcher at the Soft Computing and Data Mining Research Center, UTHM. Her research endeavors have been fruitful with more than 200 referred papers published in top-tier journals and conferences. Aside from her research, Prof. Rozaida has provided successful mentorship and supervision to more than 25 PhD and master students, guiding them to successfully complete their degrees. She also has served as an editor for the renowned Springer Books series, review for reputable journal and conferences, and steering committee for numerous international conferences. In addition, Prof. Rozaida's expertise has been recognized by her appointment as a panelist for Malaysia Research Assessment, MIRA, Malaysian Quality Evaluation System for Private College, MyQuest, a panelist for academic promotion at various local and international universities, and evaluator for Ministry of Higher Education, Research Grant, and Postgraduate External Examiner. She also lead 20 research projects as a principal investigator and more than 14 as a project member under the Ministry of Science, Technology and Innovation Malaysia, the Ministry of Higher Education, and King Khalid University, Saudi Arabia. Furthermore, she has participated in numerous international academic visits and networking events, cultivating opportunities for collaboration between UTHM and esteemed universities from a range of countries, including New Zealand, Turkey, China, Sudan, Bangladesh, and Indonesia. Prof. Rozaida has made significant contribution to the academic and research communities with extensive experience and expertise at both the national and international level. Her notable achievements have been particularly influential in machine learning and data mining fields. Therefore, without further delay, I would like to call upon Prof. Dr. Hajjah Rozaida to deliver her speech, inshallah.
Thank you, Didin. The Honorable, Bismillahirrahmanirrahim, the Honorable Chair for Majlis Professor University, Prof. T.S. Dr. Rozaida Ibrahim, Dean, Faculty of Computer Science and Information Technology, Associate Professor Dr. Azizul Azhar Ramli, colleagues, researchers, students, and all staff. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh, and good morning. First of all, I would like to express my gratitude to everyone here who has dedicated your valuable time to be with me today in this talk. And sincerely, I sincerely wish that each and every one of you will gain some insights and knowledge from the information that I'll be sharing today. So the title of my inaugural lecture is Delving into the Depth, How Deep Learning Transforms Data into Actionable Insight. So these are the contents of my talk. In the beginning of this presentation, I'll be explaining more on the concept of deep learning, and then I will go to some projects that we have done using using varieties of deep learning algorithms, and then the impact of deep learning AI adoption in Malaysia, open research, and future projects. Now, so here these are some examples from real applications which have successfully achieved outstanding results by leveraging technologies and benefiting users, communities, and businesses. The key question is what was used to design them? Is it AI or machine learning or deep learning? Okay, so what's the difference between this? AI, machine learning, or deep learning? Actually, they are very close related to each other, but there are some significant difference among them. I believe that most of you here are very familiar with the term artificial intelligence, AI, because it has become a major focus in today's discussion about technology. And not only that, we also observe the presence of AI in some Hollywood movies like The Matrix, Interstellar, Avengers, iRobot, and many more, which they portray AI as human-like robot taking over the planet Earth, which is very scary. But the actual evolution of AI is not that frightening, and it's not that smart, taking over the planet Earth. But AI has grown to offer many benefits to societies, to users, to businesses, and to the country, in fact. So the meaning of AI here. So this is actually a diagram which shows the differences between the important terms here: AI, machine learning, neural networks, and deep learning. So AI is like the umbrella of all this. Okay, so AI is like adding intelligence into machine artificially, making them able to be smart like human, way similar like human process information. So there are many usages of AI. Among them are automatic reasoning, intelligent robot, visual perception, and many more, including machine learning. Okay, And machine learning is actually enable the machine to learn data without the need to program them explicitly. Sorry. Okay, and we just present the data to the deep learning algorithms, and it can learn and extract the hidden patterns inside the data. So it focuses more on building algorithms. So there are many algorithms under machine learning, for example, support vector machine, decision trees, random forest, and many more. And one of them is neural networks. Okay, neural networks. There are many types of neural network, like multi-layer perceptron, Boltzmann neural machine, and also deep learning. So deep learning is a type of neural network, and it has many layers. Okay, it's a network that have multiple layers, and it's very smart and can solve tricky tasks like human do. Okay, so there are many types of deep learning model, including CNN, GAN, RNN, DBN, which I will explain later. All right, so back to the question here. So some of these, like here, Spotify recommendation system and Spotify recommendation system and this fashion recommendation system, most of them, they use a complex algorithm which combine deep learning and some machine learning algorithms. And here, about this folder in our email, if you notice in our Microsoft and Gmail account, there's a folder, a spam folder here. So we don't need to transfer any emails to this spam folder. The algorithm did it by themselves without, sometimes we don't notice some emails missing because they were detected as spam. All right? So now these are some examples of artificial neural network models, different architectures from basic to complex architectures. They have many interconnected neurons organized into different layers. So from where actually the idea of neural network come from? So it comes from, the term itself, neural network, come from neuron in our brain. So actually in our brain, we have gazillion number of neurons in our brain. So let's say we open up, we just open up our brain, it will look something like this under microscope. So this something like clot here, the black here is a neuron. Okay, if we zoom in, it's a neuron here. So each neuron here, it has the center dark circle here is a cell body. So this neuron, they have dendrites or like tentacles. These short tentacles is called dendrites, which coming out to different directions, and the other dendrites is a long channel which is called axon. Okay, so these dendrites, they are very sensitive to chemical. So whenever there are chemical reaction between another axon from another neuron to these dendrites, it will pick up those elements, those chemical elements, and transmit it to the cell body here. So this cell body here will process some complex process here, and at certain time, the chemical reaction in this cell body, it have come into certain stage, and it has like overwhelmed, and then this neuron will fire the electrical signal through this axon to another nearby neuron. So this is actually what's happening in our brain, and we have gazillion number of neurons connected to about 100,000 neighboring neurons. Okay, so the same process is replicated to artificial neuron here. So this is artificial neuron where it receives many inputs here, and here it will sum up all this weighted input and pass to the activation function, and above certain threshold, it will fire and transmit the signal to the next neuron in the next layer. Okay, so that is how to relate between neurons and our brain. So what is deep learning? Deep learning, basically deep learning, the goal is to find a function, to approximate an unknown function. So it is form of many neurons which is organized into multiple layers, okay, multiple layers, and they receive inputs at the input layer here and pass forward until the output layer. So it's like feeding a computer with a huge amount of data and let the algorithm capture the pattern inside the data. So that is deep learning. So the difference between standard neural network and deep learning, the left here is standard neural network, which we can see the topology is very simple. So that's why sometimes this standard neural network is struggle to capture patterns inside the data, especially if we feed it with unstructured data of like videos, speech, text like that. Because it just have one single, one layer of one hidden layer here. It can have more hidden layers like 2 or 3, but normally around 1 to 3 hidden layers only. So it has some limited capability here. Compared to the deep neural network, it has many hidden layers here. It can be more than this. It can be like 20, 30, 15. So the architecture is more complex here. So because of the speciality of the structure of deep neural network, it can learn the hierarchical representation of data, and it can extract increasingly abstract features from these layers here. So the deeper the network, the more complex and the more abstract the learning process becomes. So how actually it works? And this is a sample of basic neural network, which only has one hidden layer here. So the input during the training process, the input will be fed to the input layer here, and then this hidden layer here will also be assigned a bias. So the channel here in between input to hidden and hidden to output layer, all these channels will be assigned a random value, a numerical value, normally between 0 to 1. So the node in hidden layer here will take the summation of weighted input and plus with the bias in its nodes, and then it will pass to this activation function. Okay, if you can still recall what I explained just now in our brain, this is how our brain works. Okay, it takes the summation, when the dendrites meet the other axon from other neurons, so it will sum up all the inputs with the weight and pass to the activation function. So the same thing happened from hidden to output node, and then the network will produce an output, and then the algorithm will compare the network output with the target output. So it will compute the error here, and then it will compute the error signal from from output to hidden layer, and error signal from hidden to input layer. So this error signal is used to update or adjust or tune all these channels, all these weight channels. So this is how a neural network and deep learning learns, through adjusting and tuning all these weights. Okay? So this process is actually repeated many iterations. It can be hundreds or thousands, and it depends on in terms of how long it will take to finish the training, it depends on the machine itself, depends on the algorithms, depends on the data. It can take like seconds, it can take minutes, it can take hours, weekly, or it can take more than 1 week, like a month like that. It depends. Now, this is the whole process actually when we use deep learning. So we have a forward and backward here. So we feed the data here, and then there is a complex calculation here which will produce the output. And then we compare whether the error of the output is above or below the tolerance. If yes, we end the training. If no, we will adjust all the weights here until the network have fully met the stopping criteria. Okay, the deep in deep learning, what does it mean? So the word deep here, it doesn't mean understanding things better. It is about the depth of the network, how many layers we have in the network, the depth. So that is actually the meaning of deep in deep learning. Okay, but one problem may exist with deep learning. It's called vanishing gradient. Vanishing gradient, when the network becomes too deep, we have so many layers, like 20, 30 layers, so the learning becomes small. Because to adjust all these weights, the algorithm compute the gradient. So the gradient will be used to adjust and modify all these weight channels here. So if the layers are too many, it becomes the gradient becomes smaller until it can vanish at all. So assume like I have 10 people, I want to teach them this one game, the rule of one game. So I pass the information about this rule game to the first person, and the first person pass to the second until the 10th person. So if I check the person number 10, he will understand very little about the game rule. So same thing here. When the error signal is passed back from output to the input layer, it getting smaller, and until one time, until certain time, it cannot update the weights anymore. So when that happens, the network cannot learn. So it's hard for it to learn and produce a good result. So to overcome this, what we can do is we can use a rectify linear unit activation function, which it will not make the gradient vanish. We can also start with proper weight initialization in the network. We can also apply batch normalization to stabilize the training, and we can also adjust the learning rates during the training, and we can consider this network, which is called long short-term memory and gated recurrent unit. It's also a type of deep learning network, which is very good because they are a recurrent neural network where they have been proven to overcome these vanishing problems, which I will explain later. Okay. So why deep learning and why now? Why now and why deep learning? It's because 3 reasons here: data, hardware, and software. Data here, big data, big business, because data never sleeps. Data never sleeps. We have a ton of data available nowadays through many channels like YouTube, social media, Instagram, Twitter, and many, many more. So the data never sleeps. They keep growing, and they can explode actually. And we are drowning in data. So from terabytes to petabytes, they keep growing. And with the internet, social media, digital content, unstructured data becoming the major source of information like this. In our real world, actually, we have more unstructured data compared to structured data. Unstructured data is very messy and it's very difficult to deal with them. So we need a smart algorithm to capture the hidden patterns inside this unstructured data. The second is because of the hardware. Because nowadays there are many technological advancements. Storage cost is getting cheaper. We can just upload our documents on Google Drive and many things. And we have super powered computers which come with GPU and TPU. TPU stands for Tensor Processing Units. So it enables DNN, deep learning, to go faster. Okay? And Google also recently, I think in May this year, Google claimed that their TPU version 4, Tensor Processing Unit, have outperformed NVIDIA A100. Okay? So see how powerful the evolving of this hardware. And also includes some hardware where they include specific chips which offer faster processing, like neuromorphic hardware, quantum hardware, and many more. In terms of software here, there are many free tools nowadays. So there are free tools which we can use to learn and apply deep learning, like TensorFlow and PyTorch. So, and why now? Because all these 3, big data, powerful hardware, and helpful software, they come together at the right time. Okay, all these come together at the right time, so that's why deep learning is happening now. So what makes deep learning so powerful? First thing first, of course, because they mimic the way our brain processes information. That is the first reason. The other one is because they learn the complexity of patterns in data layer by layer, and they process huge data sets efficiently, and they can pick up the most important information from messy information, all right? And they can map the input to output accurately. And this deep learning algorithm, they are very versatile, and they can handle complex and non-linear problems easily, and they can figure out complicated patterns, and they can also handle lots of information at once, like we are solving big jigsaw puzzle. You know, they can solve the big jigsaw puzzle quickly and correctly. So that's things that makes deep learning so powerful. So deep learning is everywhere, it's around us, okay? We use it almost every day. Okay, for example, like in our email, okay, we have the spam folder, and we use Google Maps, Google Translate, and ChatGPT, of course. ChatGPT, actually, it used deep learning. It used transformer deep learning, a pre-trained model. So that is the technology behind ChatGPT. So different types of deep learning models, not just limited to this, there are many, many more. These are among the well-known and mostly used deep learning. Each of them, they have their own strengths and weaknesses, but they can be used across various domains of application, providing that we have sufficient data. Okay, so in this talk, I will just discuss about the blue highlighted here, in the blue color. These are the algorithm that I and my research team use in our work. Convolutional neural network, recurrent neural network, long short-term memory, autoencoders, gated recurrent unit, and generative adversarial network. Okay. Inshallah, in future we'll try to use the others here. So transformer network is the one that I mentioned just now. Is the background that developed ChatGPT. So our project. So let's quickly go through some of my projects that I use deep learning. So I apply deep learning on various domains of application to object recognition, healthcare, natural language processing, environmental modeling, time series prediction, and recommendation system. So the algorithm that we construct for all these problems, we have modified the algorithm, of course, we enhance the algorithm, and we train and test the algorithm using data set. Some of them, they are publicly available, and one or two of them I collected on-site data. So each of these model here that I use for this project, we have enhanced it by introducing a new activation function, okay, to fire the signal. And we also modify the architecture of the model by adding or removing some elements in the model. And we also enhance the feature extraction approach in the model. So I'm not going to explain in detail all of this. If you feel like to know more, you can refer to the sources that I attached together on the related slide. So the first one, object recognition. So object recognition is like teaching computers to see what in front of them, okay, to understand their surrounding. So actually in our daily life, we already use object recognition. Okay, like for example, sometimes we set our laptop to recognize our face. Okay, that is object recognition. And on our smartphone also, we can turn it on by recognizing our face. All right, and our smartphone can also sort the photos according to what's in the photos. That is object recognition. So it makes them smart and understanding what in front of them. So, for example, here, let's say we want to train a deep learning model to understand or to distinguish between cat and dog. Okay, between cat and dog. So the algorithm will help the computer to see that is a cat, that is not dog, that is a cat. Okay, so it will train the algorithm to capture all the information, the features about all these animals, so that it can easily and efficiently distinguish between different objects. Okay. So object recognition is important because it lets computer to recognize objects accurately. For example, we can detect pedestrian detection, checking for problem or defect in products, and surveillance system like identifying potential threats and enhancing public security. the first project that we use for object recognition is a flower recognition. Okay, this is a small project which we use MobileNet V2. This is a deep learning architecture. We use this to recognize flowers by snap a picture of a real flower or a printed flower. So this mobile app can then recognize what is this flower, and it will give a specific detail, what species and so on, like this here. All right. So for this project, we use 20 flower species, which contain a total of 9,000 plus flower images. Okay, so this is a pre-trained model, and then we upload the weights of this pre-trained model to our model, and we also, this pre-trained model, we train them with using ImageNet 1000 objects. Okay, so it's a powerful pre-trained model because it has been trained using 1,000 objects, images. Okay, so these apps, after it capture here, it will give 3 scanning results with the percentage of accuracy. Like this one is 99 accuracy, which is very high. And this is the plots for the training and validation loss and the accuracy of the model. Next one we use for bilingual handwriting recognition. Okay. Handwriting recognition actually transforms handwritten text from digital contents or from paper into a digital format, so enabling it to be searchable and editable. So it is used in many applications such as processing checkbook, identifying signature, verifying signature, managing medical records, and processing forms. This is an example of the form here. So it's very challenging task because, like this one, every writer they have different writing style. Okay, they have different writing style, even though on the same instance. Okay? So, for example, here Arabic and English here. Some countries they have a universal language like Arabic, English, and Spanish. In Arabic countries, especially, their form is prepared which have multi-language like this. So you see here, sample A here, the form is filled up using all in Arabic. The second one, all in Latin, in English. And the third one here, he used a mix of Arabic. This is Arabic, this is English. So how to recognize their handwriting using a different language? It's not easy. For ordinary programming, they cannot do this. So we need smart algorithm like deep learning to handle this. Okay, we use convolutional neural network for this project. This is the topology of standard CNN, which have input layer, feature maps. This is the convolutional layer, and polling layer. We can have a different sets, different number of convolutional layer and polling layer. Here we have fully connected layer and then output layer. So in our work, this is our model, which is the depth is 15 depth. We call this model as threshold center symmetric local binary CNN. Okay, because we fuse this center symmetric and local binary pattern in the algorithm as a block in the convolutional layer. All right, so the network, this network here that we developed, it can recognize digit using low-level features. For example, simple patterns, edges or textures, and it will combine with high-level features like abstract or unique patterns or complex shapes in the digit. So throughout these networks layers, the low-level features are combined with the high-level features, so enabling our model to recognize whether this is number 5, or this is number 6, or this is number 10, like that. Okay, so what we did with this algorithm is we enhanced it by fusing it with center symmetric local binary pattern, and then we also enhanced the center symmetric LBCNN by applying non-zero threshold instead of using 0. So the data set that we use here we have 3 different data sets. The first one is Latin, which is called Minis data set. The second one is Arabic, AHD based, and bilingual data set. Bilingual data set where we combine these 2 digits here, so forming bilingual data set. So the image size that we use is 20 times 20 and is normalized into 28 times 28. So these are some results from the project. We benchmark the model for bilingual dataset with 2 other networks. There is ResNet with depth 15 and LBCNN with depth 5 and 15. And this is our model, which produced the highest accuracy. And for English dataset, we compare with some published results from the literatures, which again our model outperformed the rest of this. Same here for Arabic dataset, our model outperformed the rest. All right. So this is a sample of how we reformulate center symmetric LBP using all these convolutional filters, and we sum up them all, and it produce image like this. Okay, and down here is a comparison between A is the local binary pattern, and down here is center symmetric LBP, which we use as convolutional layer. If you can see here, the image here is much clearer compared to the above one. Okay. The next one, we apply deep learning on healthcare. Okay, on healthcare. So predictive analytics in healthcare refers to the analysis of historical healthcare data. All right. So using deep learning for medical analysis means like letting computer to understand a huge data from medical information. So there are some challenges in dealing with healthcare data. First is because normally there are large amount of data. So manually it's like impossible to handle those data, which is very large with many features, okay, in it. The second one is we need longer time to diagnose certain disease, and to get the result it will take us like a week, or more than that. And the third one is resources. Resources in terms of staffing, the machine and laboratory equipment, it needs a lot of money for that. So using deep learning, we don't need all this. We can produce the results in quick time, and a very accurate result. So because deep learning, they can learn very fast, doctors can make smarter choices, which can help patients a lot, okay? So deep learning, this algorithm, it can find fine details that the doctor may miss, okay, and therefore it is important to utilize smart algorithm to read medical records, to read medical images more accurately, and therefore the doctor can catch the illness earlier and provide better treatment plans. The first one, we use heart disease data set, okay, heart disease prediction. Okay, heart disease prediction. We use information from person's health and his lifestyle to predict if he or she will got cardiovascular disease in the future. All right. So this helps doctors to advise and take steps to prevent heart disease before it becoming more serious. So here we use gated recurrent unit. Okay, gated recurrent unit. Why it's called gated recurrent unit? Because it has, this is GRU. It has gating mechanism. Here is there are 2 gates here, and it's a type of a recurrent neural network. Recurrent neural network means the output from previous time step will be fed back as input to the current time step. Therefore, these provide the network a memory to process the current information using previous information. It's like it have past, present, and future in this GRU. Okay. So one of the specialty of GRU, as I said before this, it can avoid the problem of vanishing gradient, and it has memories of the past input, so it uses this knowledge of past behavior to process them, process them to be used with the current input. All right. So So these are the figures, the internal layer architecture of the X square prime GRU network, where here we have these two gates here. These are update gates. Update gates here will control how much of the previous hidden state cells can be used and combined with the current input at time step t. Meanwhile, this recept gate here will control how much of the previous information from this hidden state can be discarded and to be used with the current input at time t. So this is how this gating mechanism work in gated recurrent unit. So each of these GRU will be as each of these nodes in the hidden layers. So it's actually a complex model. You imagine each of these nodes here contains each of these, right? So these gating mechanisms help the network to learn long-range dependencies and maintain only useful information to be processed and discard the rest. So there are a few issues that we solve using this algorithm. First is issues with high-dimensional data. Of course, medical data, they are very huge. So we try to extract, we use chi-square to only to determine the how close each feature in the data set correlated with the target variables. Therefore, we can reduce the dimension of the data. The second one, to solve the issue of slow convergence, we break down the update gate into two parts, okay, by utilizing U prime to improve the convergence rate. And the third issue is we try to solve the problem with low performance by replacing the activation function here with a new activation function, which we call it as T-switch function, okay, T-switch function. So this is the enhancement that we made to this model. So we use 4 data sets, a real heart disease data set, that UCI heart disease, as a SPECTF, StatLog, and Framingham heart study, okay, which is publicly available. So we also compare our model with with 5 more deep learning models, including one machine learning that is a support vector machine. We compare with CNN, LSTM, GRU, and X-square GRU. And this is our model. So from these results here, obviously we can see our model have achieved highest accuracy, and finish the training in less time and converge faster compared to other models. So this is the convergence spot. Next, we use deep learning for stress classification. Okay, stress classification. We already know that the continued presence of stress can lead to bad health effect. For example, depression, blood pressure, high blood pressure, and in fact, chronic stress can result in more chronic disease like cancer, mental issues, or cardiovascular disease. So therefore, we need to predict this stress in people earlier, so that early prevention can be done, okay, and to control from other stress-related illness. Here we use attention-aware deep learning. Attention-aware deep learning, where here we use attention mechanism. Attention mechanism, it tries to mimic human cognition, where we only give attention to some parts and ignore the rest. So here, with attention mechanism in this model, this pre-feature attention and post-feature attention will only focus on certain inputs and give less importance to other inputs. Okay, therefore, it only use meaningful inputs to process ahead. So in this structure, we combine attention mechanism with enhanced LSTM, long short-term memory. So this is the structure of long short-term memory here. LSTM is similar to GRU, but it has 3 gates compared to GRU, only 2 gates. So it inherits the advantages of GRU, like having memory, recurrent neural network, it can use previous output to process current input and so on. So this LSTM here, we have improve the standard LSTM by allowing the gate to look back at the cell state here using this peephole here, okay, the dotted line here. So this will affect the whole gating mechanism in the system. So we compare our model with some other deep learning models here. And obviously, our model have outperformed the rest in terms of accuracy, percentage of accuracy. Next, we apply our model on natural language processing, NLP. Okay, NLP actually it helps machine to process and understand human language. So it's a technique to help computers to understand and interact with human language in more natural way. So NLP allows computer to read, translate, interpret, and respond to any text or paragraph of speech, making it possible for us to communicate with computer in more natural way. So most of us use NLP every day in our daily life. For example, Google Translate, it uses NLP techniques, chatbots, search engine, grammar correction apps, voice assistant, and ChatGPT. ChatGPT is also a type of NLP. So for NLP, we apply the techniques to two different applications. One is text classification. The second one is on sentiment analysis. Text classification here, it used with a wide range of digital content to identify customer sentiment and analyzing speeches of political leaders, monitoring hate and bullying on social media. So another example of filtering spam, another example is filtering spam and non-spam emails. So both Google and Microsoft, they use deep learning in combination with other machine learning algorithms to identify spam in our emails. So we might not witness that some of our emails missing because it has been transferred to spam folders. So issues with this network, of course, text data, they are very high dimensional. So we reduce the dimension of data by using autoencoder. So this model, we integrate two deep learning. The first deep learning is autoencoder. The second one is GRU. So GRU, as I explained previously, all these nodes here composed of this single gated recurrent unit. So this autoencoder will compress the data from large dimension into smaller dimension by using encoder and decoder. And we also, to reduce the complexity of the model, we also replace a reset gate with update gate, and we apply batch normalization. So we use 7 data sets for this project. I'm sorry if you see it at the back, maybe you can't see this clearly. We use 7 data sets. 3 of them are news data set taken from Reuters, 20NG, and AG News. And the other one is Yahoo Answers, provided by posted by users on Yahoo, and Amazon review data set. Okay. So example here, this example of Amazon review data set on the product is on smartphone. So these are the reviews given by the client or customers. So based on this data, we use our deep learning model to understand the pattern inside all these texts and to provide a result whether it's a positive or negative review from the customers. Okay, so therefore using GRU in combination with autoencoder deep learning helps our network to capture significant features from huge text data set. So, and the model can tell if the message in the text or in paragraph, what is it about? Is it positive or negative? That is about text classification. And the next one we use for sentiment analysis. Sentiment analysis is like extracting emotions or sentiments from a raw text. So from the text, using smart algorithm, we can identify whether the text have emotion like positive, like this, or negative or neutral. Okay, so it so it helps the organizations and businesses to understand what people think about their brands, about their product, and about their service. Therefore, they can do some improvement on their product and services. So we use here two-state GRU, deep learning model, to tackle this statement and sentiment analysis data. So this is the whole structure of the network, where we combine two-state GRU with feature attention mechanism. So if we zoom in, this two-state GRU, it looks like this. We have a forward and backward GRU. So forward GRU will read the text from left to right, and meanwhile backward GRU will read the text from right to left, and then they combine all the features and pass it to the next layers. Okay. This is example of sentiment analysis data. This is for movie reviews. No. Okay, sorry. This is a data set that we get from 1MDB, which means Internet Movie Database. And so we have 3 data sets: Internet Movie Database, 1MDB, MR, and SST2. All them are movie reviews data set. So the Internet Movie data set, like this one, it has 50,000 rows, 50,000 samples with 2 columns. It gives reviews from viewers what movie, about the movie. For example, this one, what is said here: a wonderful little production. I thought this was a wonderful way to spend. Peter Mettel's love in the time of money. So for us human, reading this text, we can easily understand the emotion in the text, whether the people like or not the movie. But for a computer, it's not easy to understand the emotion. So that's why we use deep learning to understand and to extract the emotion in the data. Therefore, with this, businesses or filmmaker, they can improve the cinematic experience, okay, and aligns better with audience expectation. So these are the results from our model. We compare with some other deep learning models, and shows that our deep learning algorithm performs better, and also in terms of the model's accuracy. The next one is on environmental modeling. Environmental modeling can help to better understand nature by accurately predicting things like weather, unrevealing complex connection in nature, and quickly spotting changes. As deep learning is a smart algorithm, it can find hidden patterns in big sets of environmental data easily. So using deep learning, it helps to predict things like weather, temperature, and so on, and understand tricky connections in nature, and quickly notice changes, and they can use resources smarter and make good predictions. So not only that, it helps us it helps the local authorities to make policies and decisions. So the first one, we do water quality level prediction. It is important to make sure our water is always clean, not just for human, but also for plant and animal. And it also helps us to monitor for any risk in our water, whether there is pollution or not. So this way we can take action early, and we can save our rivers, ocean, and so on, and it will be healthy for plants, animals, and people. So the challenges here is the complexity of the water data itself, where normally it is collected through sensor readings, so there are many noise, sometimes incomplete data itself, and they have dynamic patterns, dynamic behavior, missing data. So we use GRU deep learning here to process all this noisy data. So the aim here is to address the overfitting in the model. So we fuse these 2 activation functions, Gaussian error linear unit, GILU. We fuse it with Gaussian error linear unit with sigmoid, becoming SGLU. So this is the new equation that we introduced for new as GLU, and we put it here, replacing the ordinary ReLU. So by leveraging the strength of SGLU, gradient stabilization and GLU convergence can be speed up. It offers enhanced data representation, quicker model training, and effective handling of complex patterns. So these are some results from two rivers, one from Hong Kong River and the other one from Canadian River. The total samples is around 4,000 plus, publicly available from their website. So the attribute that we use are by biological oxygen demand, dissolved oxygen, and ammonia nitrogen. Okay, so by incorporating the advantages of the new SGLU activation function into GRU model, so the research here has demonstrated a very outstanding result here, which outperform the other deep learning models. We also compare with transformer deep learning, CNN, and LSTM. Okay, next for environmental modeling, we use it for domestic solid waste prediction. So I guess everyone knows that the global waste generation is expected to continue increasing around the world globally in the coming years. For example, if you can see this graph here, we see here Asia Pacific countries. They are the huge producer of garbage. Okay, in 2016, the amount of garbage is 468 million metric tons. Okay, and it increasing almost like less than double in 2050 to 714 million metric tons. Okay, even though developed countries like US, UK, they are also a large producer of garbage, but they have a good waste treatment system in place. Therefore, they can control this. But for us in East Asia country, we don't have that smart system to treat this issue. So in 2016, however, this waste is poorly managed in less developed country compared to developed country. So the worldwide generation of domestic solid waste will continue to increase due to economic development, growth of population, and our consumption behavior as well. So in Malaysia itself, the existing landfill in Malaysia becomes unmaintainable due to the swift development in our country and also lack of new landfill sites. So therefore, we use deep learning to precisely forecast the amount of solid waste generated and we collected the data at Weybridge at this landfill site. So this project is actually under MOSTI collaboration between UTHM and Khawaja Farid University in Pakistan. Therefore, we collected data of solid waste generation rate from Pakistan and Malaysia, and on top of that, we also collect data from 16 developing countries. Okay, so for Malaysian data, we get the data from SW Corp Johor for Segamat landfill. This is Segamat landfill. This is where the garbage is dumped at open area, and this is Multan City landfill, Pakistan. All right. So for this project, we use two deep learning models. This one is enhanced long short-term memory model, which used to model Segamat and Labis landfill. And this one is filtered gated recurrent unit, which we used for mapping the solid waste generation rate for Multan City, Pakistan, and these 16 developing countries. For the LSTM here, we enhanced the model by using a rectified Adam optimizer to improve the training procedure, and we also add two dropout layers here, before and after the LSTM layer, and we fuse sigmoid with ReLU function and produce a new activation, again, that is called sigmoid ReLU. And for this filtered GRU, we come up with an enhanced model by using an enhanced patient correlation coefficient to extract significant features. So we also improve the update gate in the GRU model by excluding some redundant information in the gates. So these are some results for prediction of solid waste generation rate at landfill, at Segamat landfill. Okay, we collected daily data at the Weybridge from 2020 until March 2023. Okay, and these are the results of the plot, forecasting plot versus actual versus predicted. If you can see here, the line here, the pattern are very close, like overlapping each other, meaning that the algorithm can accurately follow the pattern inside the data and extract meaningful information in the data. So they are very close, okay? And this one is the plot for the whole data set that we have until March 2023, and this one that we predict another 3 months until June 2023. That time we get the data only until March 2023. So these are the plots for the training loss, which steadily is reducing, and this is the plot for showing the accuracy of the model, and our model achieving highest accuracy here. These are some plots for the prediction Multan City, Pakistan, and developing countries. This one is much better. If you can see here, yeah, here. You see the plot here. Can you see there are 2 lines there? They almost overlap, meaning that the algorithm can accurately forecast actual versus predicted. Like you cannot see which one is blue, which one is red. There are 2 lines there, predicted and actual. So with this plot, obviously the results is like, the error is like approaching close to 0, like 0.00 something, very less error. And these are the plots for the regression values, which approaching to 1, which shows is a good result, and this is convergence plot. So the superior performance of both model, LSTM and GRU, are due to the recurrent feedbacks that they have. They have the memory of present, past, and future to be used in the model. Okay, from the generated solid waste that we predict, we use this equation here. This is a well-known equation used in many publications to estimate the landfill size. Okay, so we use this equation to estimate, for example, here for Segamat. So for Segamat landfill, when the landfill was gazetted, the area is about 31 hectares. Okay, and the lifespan is like 9 to 12 years, I forgot. Okay, so now in this up to March 2023, these are the sites that have been filled up with garbage, okay, on the open dump area. And this is the size left for the local authority to dump the garbage there. And this plot here, it shows the planning for the solid waste management in Multan cities, where show how much landfill will take place, recycling, incineration, and compositing. All right. Well, actually, this will help a lot the local authority, because our discussion with JPSPN, National Solid Waste Department, they mentioned that they need millions to conduct a survey, like every couple of years. They will conduct survey to get input from whole Malaysia. They use some attributes like population, household income, to forecast how much solid waste will be generated in coming years. So they need millions of dollars. But in this project, we just program it using deep learning, and we can make an accurate forecast, which can help a lot the authority to set up a proper plan for our solid waste management. So in terms of the benefits, economic, it can save a lot of money for the JPSPN. They don't need to spend money to conduct the survey. And for the authority, they may plan ahead efficiently, because they may know if the landfill, sometimes the given lifespan, like 10 years, but before 10 years, like 8 years, it has been filled up. So the local authority can make a plan to find another landfill area, which is very expensive because the area is huge. So all this prediction and estimation can lead to a greener environment and prevention of pollution. The next is we use it for time series forecasting. Okay, time series forecasting is a very challenging task because of the up and down movement in the signal. If we can see here, the fluctuations very obvious. So it can be the time series signal itself. It can be collected in seconds or in minutes, hourly, weekly, daily, or even yearly. Okay, most of time series signals, they are difficult to forecast because they consist of this highly non-linear and complex chaotic movement. So why it is important to forecast time series? To prevent undesirable events or to lessen the impact, okay? And another reason is if we use it for stock prediction, we can make profit from the algorithm. Sorry. So when we use time series forecasting, we take a number of inputs from this window and feed to the deep learning, and then we want to predict. We use inputs, for example, xt minus 5, xt minus 6, xt minus 4, 3, until xt, until at present time, and we predict xt plus 1. We want to predict next day price or next day temperature, next day waste collection, and so on. So first, we use deep learning for stock market crisis forecasting using Karachi Stock Exchange 100. Okay. Financial forecasting is actually very difficult to forecast due to the complexity of the financial system. Okay, while many other time series, they are easily to be predicted with high degree of confidence, financial time series, they are found among the most difficult to be forecasted. Okay, this up and down movement, if you can see here, is very obvious. They are affected by many factors such as political and economic issue. And for this project, a stock market collapse occurs when the price drop about 10% across all main indexes. This is called a stock market collapse, and it also affected by many factors like corporate results, geopolitical tensions, financial crisis, and pandemic also. So here we use a network with feedback connection, that is GRU and LSTM, together with hybrid feature selection. Okay, there are many tasks here. We also use naive Bayes to classify. I cannot see clearly here. Sorry. Okay, the Karachi Stock Exchange. We predict these are the initial parameter values for the stock exchange, and then using this hybrid feature selection here, we managed to reduce it into these numbers of input, that is open, high, low, volume, 20 days moving average, 100 days moving average, and so on. So these are some results for the Karachi Stock Exchange. Next one, we use another model to predict stock price for Hang Seng Index. Okay, this is captured like a few days ago for Hang Seng Index. We also predict on DAX and Standard & Poor time series financial data set. Here we use a recurrent convolutional neural network where we hybrid CNN with GRU. So we pass the we pass the financial signals to this convolutional layer, and then pass to the forward and backward GRU layer. Some results are shown here. We also assess the model using annualized return. Annualized return is the real trading measurement that used by traders to measure how much profit they can get daily and annually. So in financial time series forecasting using machine learning or AI, it is important to evaluate how good the model in making the profit, not just obtaining high accuracy or less error, but the most important thing to see to find out is how much dollar it makes, from this algorithm. Obviously, it shows here our our algorithm have outperformed the other benchmark deep learning algorithm. Okay, the last application is recommendation system. Recommendation system is to predict and recommend items that match user preferences. All right. With recommendation system, shoppers like us, we can benefit from enhanced, specialized experience, enhanced discovery, reduced decision overload, and taking less time to find the items that you want to purchase. Like you are using Shopee every day, you see, you don't need a long time because they will recommend many of items that relate to our preference. So that one use recommendation system, which was introduced by University of Minnesota sometime like 15 years back. Okay, so before this system exists, recommendation system, we shoppers, we have to shop, we have to search manually, which is taking a long time, and we have a decision overload, and end up we don't know what to buy. Okay, so example of a recommendation system is Netflix, Spotify, Amazon. Okay, if you notice, those who have Netflix accounts, like for example, in my home, I have account. My daughter, my son, my husband also have account. Using the same tally, we have different movies recommended to different account because the system, the algorithm can understand what are our liking. So like for myself, maybe the system will recommend more like Korean K-dramas, for example, right? So because based on my history views, right? So two types of recommendation system technique. First is content-based, second is collaborative filtering. Content-based is like when we read one novel, let's say we read horror novel, and then the system will recommend another similar novel to our liking. This is content-based. The second technique is collaborative filtering, where the system will recommend items based on similar user preference. For example, both of these users like to read a romance novel. But this lady here, she also likes to read another genre of novel. So the system will recommend this another genre to the similar user. So this is how Netflix works actually. Okay? All right, so the challenge in any recommendation system are two. First is cold start, second is sparsity. So what are these? Cold start is when the system struggles to find what to suggest to the user. For example, I myself just joined Spotify. Okay, I just joined Spotify. So the algorithm, they don't know what is my preference in song. So they cannot recommend to me. Okay, and then the other one is sparsity issue in recommendation system, where recommendation system has mostly empty info in the data. For example, an online mall, they sell many products, but only a few users buy their products. So they don't know what to recommend to the users because not many users purchase their product. So these are two main issues in recommendation system. So we try to tackle both issues by using convolutional neural network integrate with embedded feature extraction. So this is a pre-trained model. We use VGG16, and then we pre-upload the weights of this pre-model to our model. These are the embedded system where we extract the item feature vector using this VGGNet structure, and we extract user feature vector using word-to-word embedding. Then we combine both these both features, and lastly we produce n top ranking for item to recommend. Okay, the data set that we use for this project is fashion e-commerce products data set. It's too small. I know you cannot see. These are some attributes about the fashion products. And another one is Brazilian e-commerce data set. A huge data set actually. This one about 17 plus instances. This one about 98 plus, 17,000 and 98,000 plus instances. So it's a huge data set, which is suitable to be used with CNN, because CNN, they are complex and they need huge data set. If not, they can overfit the data. So these are some results from the model. Our model, deep transfer learning, outperform other baseline approach. Here we compare with some standard approach. These are the errors, and mean absolute error and root mean squared error produced by our model tackling the cold start problem and sparsity problem. And these plots here shows the average rating produced by our algorithm, which shows that most of the product get low ranking, and only few product get many rank. So literally, businesses, they need to understand customers' views about their brands, about their product, so that they can make a strategy for marketing of their product. So that's why we see that deep learning network is now very common, to be used in recommendation system. And the last one we use for movie recommendation. This is a new project, not yet finished, so we don't have much detail here. So we get data from Movie Lens 20M, which means there are 25 million 5-star rating movies by about how many users? Yeah, by about this number of users, which give rating at least 5 stars. So we got all this data set, a huge data set, which we will use to recommend the best movie for users using generative adversarial network. The unique about this deep learning model is it has two important elements here, that is discriminator and generator. So both discriminator and generator, they will compete among each other. Generator will generate synthetic data and it will try to fool discriminator. Meanwhile, discriminator will try its best to distinguish whether it's a real or fake data. So they try to compete each other, and at the end, this GAN neural network will produce a network that can easily distinguish between fake and real, and can also smart to fool another mechanism here. So we are still in the stage of coding development, and inshallah after this our next project will be car defect detection, to detect the defect in car, below and above car with Puspacom. So they need this system because they receive many for car inspection, they receive many clients coming in, so they cannot handle using manual inspection. So they need us to develop a deep learning model for car defect detection. So now we come to the end. So the remarkable features of deep learning, due to its qualities, which have become a very powerful focus on AI. If we use deep learning if we use it with transfer learning, it can boost and adapt to any varieties of data. And if we use it with parallel processing, it will enable to conquer any challenges. So simply said, deep learning is a new force which can reshape AI advancements. Basically, whatever we do with machine learning, the purpose is actually to reduce the complexity of the model, to reduce the error, to reduce the redundancies in the model, to increase the performance of the model, to optimize the structure, the topology, and to optimize the parameters. They are the same purpose. Whoever apply deep learning, these are the main goals that we want to achieve. But one thing we must remember, one thing you must remember, deeper does not necessarily means better. The most important thing is the data itself and the model power. Doesn't mean that deep learning with depth 20 is better than depth 15. It's not about that. It depends on the data and how powerful the algorithm is. So these are some impact of deep learning on future job in industries and organization. Basically, deep learning has already started, to impact significantly in job roles in many countries. And these effects will not stop and will continue to evolve. And here are some of the impacts, like automating routine work, emergence of new tech-related jobs, need to acquire new skills, improve decision-making, collaboration between humans and AI, significant job roles. Okay, these information for AI adoption in Malaysia were taken from Malaysian National AI Roadmap 2021 until 2025. I believe there are more than the list here which have adopted AI in Malaysia from federal and state government. Many organizations in Malaysia actually have begun several AI initiatives in both federal and state. And to be honest, about this data, I'm not sure how far they use AI. Is it just a standard machine learning algorithm, basic AI, or deep learning? I don't have the details on this. And this is for industries. Some of them that use AI in their daily tasks is Petronas. Petronas, it's a Dulang platform, one of its rig. Okay, it used AI to validate the failure root causes 2,000 times faster, and they can save about 15 million using AI. Okay, and then other than that is Microsoft, of course, Silos, and also Telekom Malaysia Berhad, which collaborate with Huawei to offer a good digital transformation in Malaysia. So here are some open research and future projects, like few shot and zero shot learning. Few shot and zero shot learning is like teaching deep learning without any data, a very small data set. And next one is energy efficient model to create an algorithm that can achieve high performance while at the same time bring environmental friendly. Neuro-symbolic integration, combining strengths of deep learning and symbolic reasoning. Meta-learning, which is about same with the first one, few shot and zero shot learning. And lastly is quantum deep learning, which explore the hybridization of quantum and deep learning. So I believe not only this just represents a fraction of new ideas for future project, and I believe it's going to be more new ideas and projects will emerge in coming years. Okay, this is Mark Cuban. Whoever have watched Shark Tank, Mark Cuban is one of the sharks, the main sharks in the television series. So this is what he said: artificial intelligence, deep learning, machine learning, whatever you are doing, if you don't understand, learn at least the basic of it, because otherwise you're going to be a dinosaur within 3 years. This is what he said. Okay, so obviously, learning deep learning is really important because it is used in many AI application, and it becoming a big part of AI. And companies now, they try to recruit people who know deep learning or at least AI. By this, they can help to improve their product and service. And in fact, most businesses, they find it, they must have AI strategy, and they start to recruit AI talent. But some of them, they find it difficult to find these experts due to the shortage. So I think it's the best time for us. This is the perfect time to learn deep learning and become one of the in-demand expert in this field. All right, so the conclusion, what does this all mean? If we want to stay ahead of the curve, we need to start learning about deep learning. It is the most important AI technology today, and it will only become more and more and more important in the future. So what to expect in the coming years is deep learning. It has the potential to revolutionize the industries and organization, and we can expect to see more transformation of transformative changes in the future. So as a conclusion, deep neural network should be used, should be employed for positive purposes, which can give positive benefit to humans, by any means not causing any harm to anyone, but giving benefits to everyone, not causing any harm to anyone. Because we must bear this in mind, because deep learning is very, very powerful. It can like do almost everything if we provide them with the data. So that's all. Thank you from me. I hope that this talk benefits every one of you. Thank you.
Thank you, Prof. Deepest thanks to our honorable speaker for the first series of Syarahan Perdana 2023, Professor Dr. Rozaida binti Ghazali, for sharing her precious knowledge and experience with us today. And may her word enlighten all of us here to be more flourishing in the future. Ladies and gentlemen, before we conclude this event, we would like to invite the Honorable Professor Technologist Dr. Hajah Rozaida binti Ibrahim, Chairperson of Majlis Professor University, accompanied by Associate Professor Technologist Dr. Azizul Azhar bin Ramli, Dean, Faculty of Computer Science and Information Technology, to present a certificate and token of appreciation to the Honorable Professor Dr. Rozaida binti Ghazali, our invited speaker. Please welcome. Many thanks to Professor Theology Dr. Hajah Rozaida binti Ibrahim. Ladies and gentlemen, we have come to the end of this first series of Syarahan Perdana 2023. On behalf of the organizers, I would like to express our highest gratitude to all invited guests, ladies and gentlemen, for being part of this event and looking forward to see all of you again in the near future. With that, wabillahi taufiq wal hidayah. Wassalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Dah sikit lah. Okay. 1, 2, 3. Satu lagi 1, 2, 3. Sebelum merah, dia tak merah. Dah habis. Pasti dah habis. Tahniah, Prof. Kita nak dengar lagi lah. Come. Turun delete. Lepas tu delete filenya.
Okey.
Dah pastikan.